to discuss all the latest from Washington is former federal prosecutor Joseph Moreno. Joseph, a pleasure to have you on the program. I just want to get your reaction and your comments about the president's criticisms that this is presidential harassment, that Adam Schiff and his committee has no basis to do this. Tell us more about the powers, though, that the House has in terms of investigating the president.
Sure, Amaran. Good to be with you. So we often think of Congress as a body that creates laws, and that's certainly true. But another one of their vital constitutional functions is to conduct oversight. And that means looking at the other branches of the government, most largely the executive branch, and making sure that it's doing things properly. It's a key constitutional function that both the House and the Senate have. Now, when the House or the Senate is controlled by a party other than in the White House, that's when we usually see the most aggressive oversight. And as President Trump enters his third year of his presidency with a Democratic-controlled House, you now have the Democrats in control of the committees, the chairmanships, the investigations, and most importantly, subpoena power.
Yeah, so obviously very broad power with these investigations that really is looking into everything that has to do with President Trump. Regarding his tax returns, I mean, this has to obviously be unsettling for Trump, who's refused to release his tax returns, breaking with precedent. And now you have the Democrats looking into this as well. A Ways and Means Oversight Subcommittee actually held its first hearing today to get the ball rolling on, getting Trump's tax returns. And I understand there's this obscure provision in the federal tax code that actually gives the chairman of this committee to go to the Treasury Department and request tax information on the president or really any filer. Now, how successful could that be? Because I can't imagine it'd be very easy if there's probably going to be legal challenges to that.
I think that's a very good likelihood, Amara. I mean, President Trump has made it very clear for years now that he has no interest in releasing those tax returns. So you can expect that he will use every legal tool at his disposal to delay or prevent the release of those tax returns, regardless of Congress's power or what's in the tax code.
Yeah, and also more about David Whitaker. I mean, we're hearing, he's threatening to, the question is, will he show up or will he not on Friday? And now he's threatening to not show up if there is a subpoena. Why do you think he's doing this and that he is fighting this subpoena?
Well, so most witnesses, Amara, would prefer to appear before Congress voluntarily. It gives you a little more ability to sort of decline to answer questions if you feel there's some basis to make that declination. If you're ordered to appear by a subpoena, you have a lot less ability to say, I'd rather not answer that question. So anyone is going to prefer to go in voluntarily rather than be compulsed to do so by a subpoena. And so this back and forth between the acting attorney general and Jerry Nadler over in the House of Representatives has been a very dramatic one. Ultimately, it sounds like Matt Whitaker will appear tomorrow morning before the House committee. But whether or not he actually answers all the questions that are posed to him, that's yet to be seen. A lot of these are very, very aggressive questions as to what conversations he had with the White House regarding the Russia probe, things that many Americans want to hear about. But I do not expect the acting attorney general will be so willing to just sit there and answer these questions completely without sort of any kind of hesitation.
Yeah, well, he's going to be a short timer because as soon as next week, there could be a permanent attorney general in place, William Barr. And he did say during his confirmation hearings that he would do his best to make as much as he can possible available of the special counsel's report when he gets that report. If you look at a new CNN poll, it shows that a huge majority of those who were polled say yes, Mueller should issue a public report on the findings. 87% say yes, that should happen. It should be made public. That's a lot of public pressure. But the question is, when you hear what William Barr says, it doesn't sound like he's inclined to release that publicly.
Well, Emma, Bill Barr, during his confirmation hearing, he definitely made a lot of nods toward transparency. And he said things like, I am committed to making sure that the findings of the Russia probe see the light of day. Now, I think that went far, but a lot of people felt not quite far enough. And what they wanted to hear was a real commitment that was, I will make sure this report is released. He wouldn't quite go there, which leaves a lot of people kind of skeptical as to whether or not, if and when the choice is ultimately his as to what to do with the report, what in fact he'll do with it.
And that is the big question. I appreciate you joining us, sir. Joseph Moreno.
Thanks, Amber. Good to be with you.
Thanks.